Hey everybody, Off the Mic Sports Network here, another edition of Off the Top Rope. Man, it has been a weird couple of weeks in professional wrestling because man, the Geek Squad is out in full force, just raging at Triple H and raging at TKO. And listen, I've made my critiques about some of the ways TKO does business. But there's been a couple of idiots on the internet, whether it's true or not, and sure there's some people out there who are clamoring for Vince McMahon. And I was like, do you guys fucking remember how bad it was before Vince McMahon was forced out? Do you remember how bad it was? Like Theory, with literally almost zero qualifications, wins Money in the Bank. We unceremoniously got him. Like Theory can be a big asset, but then what? We were getting matches with Goldberg and Bobby Lashley. We were getting just matches we didn't care about. Eva Marie was on a SummerSlam against Alexa Bliss. Do you guys freaking remember like how bad it was? And like Madcap Moss eliminated AJ Styles from a Royal Rumble. Maybe the worst Royal Rumble, one of the most dull Royal Rumbles that we've ever seen happen in 2022. And I mean, Vince McMahon beat Pat McAfee in a match due to kicking a football into his stomach. Like, it's just, do you guys remember how awful it was? Just because Triple H has had a couple of really questionable decisions and, some of the things that have been said in the media and whatnot, you guys are just all clamoring because, hey, they had a bad main event. And, listen, I've made it very clear that I think a lot of that was due to The Rock. The John Cena element of that, listen, it's his last year. Him winning the title was it just like the way it was executed was not done well. And that was because of interference from TKO. But you guys want Vince McMahon back? Really? Do you hear yourselves? Like some of the shit that happened over the span of maybe the previous 5 years before Vince McMahon was ousted in 2022 was some of the worst shit we've ever seen on television. Attendance was down. You thought what AEW was doing right now in terms of losing attendance and some of their bad television. At least they have good wrestling. WWE they had decent wrestling, but their storylines were shit. Like they tried everything under the sun. Like you guys remember in 2019, the Rusev Lana cuckold storyline where Bobby Lashley was with romantically with Lana. You remember how bad that was? And then they made Liv Morgan a lesbian for some reason. Like it was some of the worst shit ever. Hey, just because John Cena wins a main event and there were some weird questionable decisions that were made throughout WrestleMania and leave out the fact that and then bunch of people got fired on Friday. Bunch of people got released. You remember that they fired like about 100 people during COVID? You remember that? This is not just a TKO thing. Like this Vince McMahon didn't give a shit either. So I mean, some of you people are just fucking morons. Like it's just like you're clamoring for the worst of WWE to come back just because some things have not gone your way. Do you guys remember how great it was last year at WrestleMania? People are acting like that didn't happen. Why? Because Cody lost in a shit way? It happens. But you remember how many shit decisions were made in like the 5 years before Triple H took over? 2017 through 2022 was probably some of the worst shit WWE, specifically 2018, 2019, before COVID happened, and then even some of the shit after COVID. It was some of the worst garbage professional wrestling and sports entertainment has ever seen. And you guys want that back? What? Are y'all out of your minds? Do you hear yourselves? Like I was looking at the internet yesterday after all of these releases happened and everybody's like, man, I really wish that we got Vince McMahon back. Triple H is bad. The Fed is bad. It's all about money and stuff. Guys, they're going to sell 16,000 tickets for Backlash in St. Louis. And all you are complaining about, hey, Pat McAfee's got a match against Gunther. Logan Paul's got a match against Jey Uso. Okay, first of all, Jey Uso is over with the people, despite what most of the internet says. Jey Uso may not be as great of a wrestler, but he's over. Just because a minority of the fan base doesn't like him doesn't mean that that's Vince McMahon. And yeah, I don't like that Logan Paul is there, but they were kind of in an impossible position with WrestleMania and Backlash being so close together. They had to put something together quick. Logan Paul is a heel. I don't like it, but I kind of understand it. And, the McAfee stuff with Gunther, some people think Goldberg's going to get involved, and that would be terrible. But, hey, I would rather him get involved after it and then, you know, Gunther just end Goldberg's career, even though his career should have ended like years ago. Um, but Gunther McAfee, at least that's somewhat interesting. Like McAfee can entertain, and yeah, it's kind of a weird pull for a guy who was just the world champion. But in my eyes, at least I hope this is what they're gonna do. It gives Gunther somebody to beat, and gets him right back on the horse, back to being like dominant like he was before. And he was pissed off, and he beat up an announcer, and it created an interesting angle and an element of reality in wrestling. Like this isn't like it's not like there wasn't a rhyme or reason for this. It may not be pleasing to you, and seeing some of your favorites get fired. By the way, Dakota Kai wasn't getting used, whether for whatever reason. Some of the NXT talent that was released, Braun Strowman was really, kind of a monster enhancement talent, I'll call it. And, it's just, rosters get bloated, and, some people have to get let go, and they're going to get more opportunities elsewhere. But you guys who are using that and using the end of WrestleMania as some sort of, vehicle to like push a narrative that, WWE would be better off with Vince McMahon, are you out of your freaking minds? You guys were begging for years for Vince McMahon to leave and get fired or retire or give up power. And then he got forced out. It was everybody, it was like it was rejoicing in the streets. Everybody was happy. It was a great moment in wrestling because we didn't have to deal with this crap. And then you guys remember the Raw after WrestleMania 39 out in Los Angeles? One of the worst shows ever. You want to know why? Because Vince got involved. Vince got involved. But just because some of your favorites get released and, hey, WrestleMania didn't go your way, even though there was some really admittedly great stuff on WrestleMania, it's just the end of it sucked. Saturday overall did not look great. And there were some questionable, booking choices. Like, Becky Lynch just sort of shoehorning her way in was not a great look. But a lot of great things happened. And they're developing a lot more, younger talent as opposed to relying on part-time stars. CM Punk's back in WWE. That would have never happened with Vince McMahon. You think CM Punk's going to stick around if Vince McMahon comes back? See, you guys have no logic whatsoever. No logic whatsoever. You're just mad about something, so you want to just go back to what it was before, leaving out the fact that you are completely forgetting how terrible it was. Get over yourselves. Get over yourselves. It's going to be fine. Everything is going to be okay. Okay? Please, just settle down. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.